Welcome to an update and overview of Frontline Turrets for base defense. This covers all turrets available as of May 2017. As usual, I'm going to cover what specials are recommended with each turret, what armor you could use, the transformers and when, and which turrets can damage which Conqueror hull. So you can choose a nice balance and have a base that can resist and damage most or if not all Conquerors. My usual disclaimer here before we start, there are many options. I'm not going to cover all possible combinations, otherwise this would be like an hour-long video and nobody has time for that. The setup I recommend here is usually what works for me, so it's personal experience. Try to adapt that to your base, your layout, your technology. And remember to use base parts and acquire base parts so you can actually very quickly adapt, adjust, and upgrade your components. If you don't want to look at turret by turret, at the very end I have a table that summarizes the whole thing. Maybe you want to skip right over to that. That table, the picture of that table is also available on the Forsaken Council website or Facebook page. There are many outdated frontline turrets. I'm not going to cover them here. Here's a quick list of some of them. They were good at the time they were released, but today they barely tickle any of the modern hulls. So not worth it unless you're like a level 30 pilot. I've shown that before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Levels of each turrets, I'm going to focus on level 7 and 8 turrets only. Anything less than that would just be vaporized by modern technology. I strongly recommend you use base parts and get all of your turrets to level 8 ASAP. Since last December, we've had factions, so if your base has Outpost 9, you can choose a faction and each faction gives you damage bonuses for a specific turret type. So if you pick Legion, you get extra 20% penetrative damage for your Hyenas, your Executioners, anything that deals penetrative damage and so on. The only turret type that doesn't get any bonus from any faction are concussive turrets, such as the Maxim gun or the minigun or the Gargoyle. They cannot be buffed by a faction, but all others can. Pick the one that's going to maximize the kind of turrets that are predominant on your base, and remember these bonuses do not extend to your guard ships, only turret. I'm going to start with the radioactive turret. That's a fairly old turret, the Wendigo. It's limited as well. You can only have 1 or 2 of them tops. It's not a really great turret at doing damage, especially because it's radioactive. So that means any ship with a radioactive plate 4, or even 2 in this case, would be immune to its damage. But it has a nice shockwave damage of nearly 5,000, and that shockwave actually hurts. You know, anything less than 5,000 deflection, and that shockwave will hurt. But the main function here is to slow down ships with the ice field it generates. Okay, the range is not extremely good. I mean, some could say that's a long range turret. I don't think so. With 130 range, you can extend to 141 with ATR transformer. Okay, I don't use this turret anymore, but you know, for some people it can be a valid option. Minigun turrets, concussive. This turret was very powerful when it first came out. I actually just removed it from my base this week. I think it's getting outdated now. You see there's many hulls that now are immune to concussive damage. You can still hurt some of them, but being a frontline, it's unlikely that hulls like the Oppressor will be in range ever. And all the tanks, the modern tanks, like Prides, Liberators, they are immune to that turret. Okay, I have some setups down there. One of them for more resistance and some stun resistance. And the other one has actually more reload and more splash. I like that special frontline platform ZU because it gives more reload to many types of turrets, not all of them, so be careful. But it also gives you resistance. So the turret lasts longer against attacking ships. Then you can pick some specials that are not designed for concussive turrets, but affect generic statistics like splash. So the Sulfide Deployer, the Fuel Tank 01X in the picture there, Eruption Pyre, Xinthium Shells are all made for other types of turrets, but they all buff splash. Some of them buff projectile speed, so they're useful, right? I like that setup on the right, it's the one I was running. But like I said, I just got rid of this turret. And I forgot to mention, it's a limited turret, can only have one in your base. Another concussive turret, the Gargoyle III, it's actually very good. It damages a lot of ships because it has very high damage, especially when you add the expensive concussive charge that is special here in the middle, and you add AT Transformer. It does very high damage and can actually hurt most ships, right? But again, still doesn't hurt the two most popular tanks today, the Pride and the Liberator, can still sail past that turret. The main drawback of this turret is the range. It has only 95 range, so pretty much every ship in game today will outrange it. You can choose to put the ATR transformer, as I have here on the left. That's going to buff the range to 105, and then it hits most ships, but still some will be able to outrange it. Some older explosive turrets here, the Coldsnap and the Frostbite. They're not very effective in the game anymore. They can still hurt some of the ships, but they are mostly the mortar ships with remote range that will never be in their range, right? But when you look at the frontline ships, Conquerors that people use today, most of them will be immune to these turrets. So the only reason to have any one of them in your base now is the Coldsnap effect. But even then, a lot of, if not all of the tier 6 Conquerors are immune to Coldsnap effect. They can be slowed down maybe, but they won't lose their auras. So that's another turret that was very useful in my base. I just got rid of it 2 weeks ago. Okay, but here's what you can do. I mean, you can use explosive specials like Eruption Pyre, Zintium Shells. You can use the ZU to get some reload. Or you can go for more splash with the O01X special. I usually prefer the range transformer with this turret. Okay, because it has 140 range, so you add this to get 150. So then you can put the Coldsnap in the central island and reach out to the channel. That's the most effective setup. That's a turret I don't see very often. The D99S is an explosive rocket turret that came out in the endgame campaign, the same campaign that gave us the Oppressor hull. It's not limited, you can build as many as you want. It does a lot of damage. As you can see here, very few hulls can actually resist this turret if they get in range. You know, most hulls have little to none explosive deflection. Forget the mortar chuckers here, but you look at the others, you can still damage many of the tier 5 hulls. One or two survivors, as they stack more and more explosive deflection, the more of them you put in the ship. And you can also use survivor to add explosive deflection to all other Conquerors in the fleet, so that can be a technique. But even newer hulls, like the survivor itself, cannot, even a fleet full of them, cannot survive this turret with the top specials and an AT transformer. Okay, and very few can outrange it. Like the Liberator can, the Pride can't, but they're pretty much immune to explosive damage. But you can keep most of the other hulls at bay with one, maybe two of these turrets. I use one of them only in my base. Now let's get into the corrosive turrets. There are three. This one slide here is going to cover the two older ones, the Draconian Scattergun and the Basilisk. These turrets are getting to the point of not being much effective anymore. They still help, and they have massive submerged damage, so if you can spot subs, they can do a lot of damage to the subs. Although the model gluttonies now are outranging them, or actually at least being able to, not outranging, but being able to hit without being detected. So you certainly need something to be able to detect the subs so they fire. These turrets can damage a lot of the older hulls, some of the new hulls, but as you can see, a lot of tier 5 and tier 6 hulls are immune as soon as they build some Bloodthirsty, or if you add one survivor to the fleet, it's gonna add 1500 deflection to all Conquerors, making a lot of them immediately immune. Even like one like the Revenge, you add 1500 to what it can have, and it's already immune to their damage. Now here's the newest corrosive turret, the Venom Spitter. Same range, very good damage. So this one can be a lot more effective, but again, if you stack one survivor plus, let's say, a pride, you already get 2000 corrosive deflection. Okay, if you stack a few more, you get some more, and then boom, you can be resistant. The one downside of the Venom Spitter is the projectile speed, and that statistic is not visible anywhere, but it fires slower. The projectiles move slower towards the target than the Draconian Scattergun or the Basilisk, so very fast ships can actually outrun most of the splash damage. Here are some setups. I recommend the hydroxide coated barrels. I also recommend the sulfide deployer. The third special can be whatever you want. You can go for something to give you more splash. You can go for something to give you more resistance. It's entirely up to you. Okay, and 3 different setups with the ATR transformer, so you outrange all ships. With the AT transformer for maximum damage, as you see in my table. And you can even use the defense transformer just to force ships to stop until they can kill the ship, the turret. Blunderbuss is the only short-range frontline ballistic turret that's effective in game today. It doesn't hurt a lot of the ships, a lot of the Conqueror ships, but it has one very important role. Is the best turret at damaging the Liberator. The Liberator can be immune to a lot of different damage types, but it has absolutely no ballistic deflection. So 2 or 3 blunderbusses posted in the right place, especially with the range transformer, so you won't get all this damage down here, but you get the range to outrange the Liberator, and in that case you can just keep firing at it for a long time. In the picture here I'm using depleted uranium shells, but actually in the table I updated to the ballistic recoil suppressor, and I've already refitted one of my turrets this way. It makes a decent difference. I mean, not huge, but I find that setup very helpful. So this one I have down here with BRS, the new special, instead of the shells. You gain a little bit of damage, but it reloads a lot faster. Some people asked me about the Hyena when I recorded the long range turret video, but the Hyena is actually a short range turret, so it's here with the Frontline Turrets. It has 105 max range. The range can be extended using smart warheads or fire support platform M, which I prefer. Then you can add damage with thermobaric casing. It only fits level 2. If you try level 3, the turret can get overpowered. And then AT transformer. The third special, you can pick a resistance special, like make just a hard to kill turret. You know, the main problem of the Hyena though, although you can see it can hurt all Conquerors because of the very high damage, except the survivor. Okay? But there are so many ways to counter this turret that these beautiful numbers here end up becoming ineffective in real game. They can be countered by countermeasures. They can be countered by evade. You know, so it's very hard to hit, and that's why sometimes I prefer using the defensive transformer here, just so I get more shots out of the turret before it's dead, and hope that 1 or 2 of them may hit, right? That's the main problem with the turret. But overall, it damages pretty much everything, so it's kind of like a bat, a hit or miss kind of turret. To summarize, this is my table for frontline turrets. They're all set up in this table for maximum damage, not for extra range or for extra resistance or to stay on the water. This is the setup with the AT transformer, okay? And then you can see what damages what. I've highlighted 4 turrets here, or 5 actually, and I think a mix of them can help you. So the Gargoyle 3, despite all its range issues, can damage a lot of the tier 5 Conquerors. and a couple of the new ones. Okay, so it's a decent option. The D99S, it's a very good option in my opinion. It hurts many of the Conquerors, both tier 5 and 6, and it cannot be countered by evade or by countermeasures. The Venom Spitter, despite its lower projectile speed, damages many holes, and you can see damages some holes not damaged by the D99S, so it's a good one to mix together, along with the Blunderbuss, because the Blunderbuss can actually get the Liberators, which are not really much damaged by the other turrets. Okay, so I still think having 1 or 2 on your base is important. Then there's the Hyena, super overpowered, damages pretty much everything, but like I said, it can be countered by many different options, and it misses a lot. Okay, so it's a bit of a lottery there, whether it's gonna help you or not. Some people have a whole bunch of them, so in the end, just due to sheer volume, they will be doing damage. But then you'll be sacrificing a lot of the other options. But still, I would focus your front line on especially these 4 turrets here. The D99, Venom Spitter, Blunderbuss, and Hyena. If you don't have these ones, maybe you want to look at the Gargoyles as an option. Okay. And if you're an attacker, this can help you when you look at a base. This can help you select which holes to use, and help you build what setup should you have. Should you have pen plates? Should you have red plates? Should you have warp plates? Like, warp plates are very effective reducing damage from all frontline turrets, or most of them. Okay, so that's it. I hope that was helpful. Share that with your alliances so people can build better bases, and even build better Conqueror fleets on the flip side. Like the video if you found it useful. Subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Have a great day, everyone. See you next time.